Facebook Live family and friends? Elliot Andre, the head therapist from Connected Roots, is here for a late night rendition of interviewing fantastic people in the field of therapy. I'm here with my friend Steve Spatz. Spatz a lot. Sir Spatz, sir. He's a great dude. Amazing therapist. Steve, if you could, please introduce yourself to our friends and family out there. I think we'd really appreciate that.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for having me on here. So I'm Steve Spatz. I'm here in Boulder, Colorado, and loving it. I am here working a lot with college students, graduate students, a lot of young adult entrepreneurs, and a lot of the issues I like to help people with are anxiety, depression, ADHD, self-esteem issues, relationship issues. So if any of those concerns are something you're struggling with, Elliot and I can definitely talk about that today.
Totally, yeah.
Help you out.
Give us a thumbs up or just a nod or a comment to those who may have struggled with transitions when they were starting their collegiate career. I mean, I don't know. I can relate to that, Steve. I don't know what your situation's been, but freshman year was a really tough transition for me.
Yeah.
So if you could, to our audience out there, explain kind of what you provide to those people who may be transitioning.
Absolutely. I think one of the most important things I want you to know as you're looking for support for a therapist is that I really want to tailor the experience to you specifically. I want to know how whatever struggle you're having, whether it's anxiety, depression, you're homesick, I want to really make sure that we are focusing on how you specifically experience the homesickness, how you're experiencing depression, self-esteem, how you are having a hard time communicating with your family, with your friends, how you're having a hard time making new friends.
Totally.
And really just together figuring out a plan for you specifically.
Awesome. And Steve, I think what you just hit on is this idea of transitions and the hardships that really occur when people are going through that.
Absolutely.
Could you give us a couple tips and things that you might have expressed to a client that could be helpful in the sense of navigating what that may look like for them in a case-by-case situation?
Sure. I think, let's say example, trying to make new friends.
Yeah.
And, when we're a freshman, everyone's coming in the same type of scenario. All of us are completely brand new. We don't really know anyone there.
Yeah,
Maybe we know a couple people, but we have to start all over again. And so I think one of the things I really first want to, and I'd love to hear your opinion too.
Absolutely.
I think that you got to work with we have to figure out first what gives you comfort. You know, how, even to start small, like how comfortable does your room feel for you?
Totally.
What places on campus do you feel you can go and you can be yourself? You know,
yes.
And what kind of activities are you doing that give you pleasure? If it's playing video games with your buddies on the hall, great. If it's going out and throwing a frisbee with someone, awesome. If it's literally just taking some time at the library by yourself to just connect with yourself, then do it. And so really wanting to help people figure out how are we going to find comfort for you in this completely new place to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's a great place to start.
I love that. I mean, Steve, so many of the people that I work with come to college and they feel as if like their space, their room, their classes are not in a way that they're comfortable or used to from high school, right?
Absolutely.
That's all they know.
Yeah.
They've been under the roof of people who are going to push them for the most part, generally, that are going to give them that guidance to like make those decisions.
Yeah.
So I think that in itself is very overwhelming.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think the biggest part about what that overwhelming feeling looks like when it's not treated or not in a place that feels like it can be nurtured is, depression, anxiety, frustration with self-judgment. In that regard, feel free to self-disclose as much as you want.
Sure.
I think a lot of our viewers out there want to know from therapists themselves maybe what that looked like for them from your own college experience. If you could share that with our viewers out there.
Absolutely. I mean, for me, so I grew up in Northern Virginia. I actually went to college at a place called Elon University in North Carolina. So I was about 4.5 hours away from home. I did have access to a car, which did help.
Totally.
But, if I needed to get a hold of my family, pretty much I could just get a hold of them over the phone. So I was very, like everyone is, I was thrown into a situation where I had to instantly try to get acclimated to a new place, new environment. in my situation, I had to get acclimated to kind of a change of culture.
Yeah.
Northern Virginia to North Carolina.
Hell yeah, man.
That's a big cultural difference.
Mm-hmm.
I experienced difference of even like demographics of some students I saw, like, so I, some adjustments in that. And so, yeah, I mean, I think I definitely struggled with some anxiety of how to meet new people.
Yeah.
And I know that it's very common. I think also too, like some of the things people don't often tell you about transition to college is just the difference of how long it takes for coursework, for schoolwork.
Totally,
I remember one statistic when I started college, which it may be even different now, but for every 1 hour in the classroom was about 3 hours or more of work outside the classroom.
Yeah, it's huge, man.
In high school,
huge fucking transition.
In high school, sometimes you can kind of just coast on classes.
Yeah, totally. The teachers hold you accountable.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And so, also too, like, I mean, this is the first time you have a roommate. Me and my roommate, it was a big coming together of how can we live together? How do we negotiate boundaries? If he needs space himself, I need space to myself.
Totally,
if
man.
I have friends over, if he has friends over, significant others. So it's it's a lot to start with, and you're just like that right away.
Yeah, you're thrown into it.
You're thrown
into it without support. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, unless we have an extremely supportive family,
Yep.
in a lot of situations, we need to navigate this ourselves.
Absolutely.
100% of the time. And that is so difficult for some people. I mean, generally, for a lot of people, let's be honest. I mean, who wants to be put in a situation that they're, one, uncomfortable, and two, don't really feel like they've been pushed in some regards to be able to feel that independence?
And it's supposed to be, quote unquote, the time of our lives.
Right.
It's supposed to be the first time where we have true independence.
Right.
And we have these huge expectations.
Totally, man.
And sometimes it's a letdown to begin with. We're disappointing because this is not what we thought it would be. We didn't know it'd be this hard.
Right. Let's talk about expectations. I think that's something that so many of the students and clients that I work with, really struggle with, having the standard of themselves that they have to hit, or from society or from families.
Yeah.
And it's so unrealistic, yet it is so ingrained in them to have to bring that in no matter where they are in that situation. Yeah. So I don't know if you want to bring in a case by case again of a client you worked with or your own situation, but like what are these expectations that we're wanting or needing to hit? Yeah.
That's a great question. Expectations. I mean, I think that when we're coming to college for the first time and we're experiencing this huge transition, I think that we're expecting that we're going to know how to do it right away, that we're going to be able to be independent like we hope and want to be. Yeah. And that's not always the reality. I think it's huge to figure out what your support system is from the very beginning.
Absolutely.
If your roommate is a good fit for you, stick by that person. Make sure if you are an introvert, make sure that you are asking for time for yourself and taking time for yourself. If you're extrovert, make sure that you are putting yourself in situations, even if you haven't made friends yet or having a hard time with it, where you can be around people. You could go to a dining hall and just sit there and at least you could feel included in the other people are there.
So tangible, honestly. I mean, like,
absolutely.
What you're just saying right now, I don't think people even think about. And in the sense of what that looks like. Yeah.
And I mean, even if you're feeling social anxiety, the perspective of, is getting some time around people worse than, versus if you're completely alone and isolating yourself. I think that's one of the hardest things people struggle with is we isolate, we shut down. And so really, like what Elliot does, what I do, we want to help you get out of your shell. We want to help you figure out, who your supports are. If you have a really close family bond, helping you connect with your family more, helping you learn how to communicate better with them. Yeah. If you already know how to communicate well with them, great. And let's really use that as a strength you already have.
Right. Well, so I mean, I think one thing that we're really kind of hitting at is finding and allowing our clients and giving permission for our clients to find those ways of doing that. like finding those strengths and encouraging them to do that.
Yes.
And I think it's really hard as a student sometimes, again, when you're going through all these things to really feel as if you have that capacity to do so.
Yeah.
So thumbs up out there, seriously. If you've ever felt like you've wanted something or expected something so bad when you've been in a big transition, whether it be in college, work, or anything, and really felt alone. I know I have. I've experienced that numerous of times, from getting out of my family shoe business to having a 25-year midlife crisis, to starting school, to moving out to Colorado, to starting a business. I've experienced that 100% of the time. And I know you just moved here too.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Like, let's see what have those transitions been like for you in that regard too, like in the sense of relating to our viewers.
Yeah. I mean, I actually just moved here to Boulder in Colorado, state of Colorado, 5.5 months ago. So I moved from Northern Virginia, so all the way across the country.
Literally.
And it's been a lot of transitions. I mean, certainly as a therapist, as a person, I can absolutely appreciate that. I'm comfortable saying this. I've bounced around 5 different housing situations since I've been here. I've moved both myself and my business here. So starting over from scratch here.
That's not easy, man.
No. And so I'm incredibly fortunate for the support system I have here. And I've leaned, at times, honestly, I've leaned too heavily on them. I have my own therapist, and I'm very thankful for her, and she is a wonderful support for me.
Cheers to therapists, bro.
Absolutely.
We need them too, people!
Absolutely. And so I've had different housing situations. I'm so thankful I'm now in a truly stable one where I feel comfortable.
Good.
I was in one housing situation that was incredibly uncomfortable. I've told you some of that.
We won't get into that tonight.
Don't need to tell it on here, but yeah. So, and finding friends is a big thing.
Absolutely.
Glad
I found you, buddy.
Absolutely, bud. Absolutely. And I'm very fortunate.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's actually one of the first friends I've really made here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it takes time, and it takes patience. And I know you had that. I mean, you moved here a year and a half ago.
Of course.
Yeah.
I didn't know shit from shit.
Yeah.
I mean, we started from scratch too, man. We never thought. Lauren and I had a pipe dream of ever starting a business, and then 4 years down the road, it finally happened. Yeah. And it's incredible. Like you're saying, the support and the encouragement and all the things that really perpetuated us into finding what we needed to do. Yeah. Now it's at a point, it's incredible. Like we have a full practice and knock on wood, Cassie! Hell yeah, girl!
We got another guest.
Quiet, you! Stop it. Hey, quiet. But anyhow, that being said, so we want to normalize, and I think we've both done this for you out there, our viewers out there, that transitions are tough, things are hard, and that we're going to keep on trekking. So Steve, let's talk about this idea of when people feel like they're on that trajectory and they're building that momentum of kind of coping with these transitions.
Yeah.
How do we stay in that place? Like, what have you found? I know it's a very general question, but what have you seen as a therapist to let your clients know how we can normalize and keep that momentum going? Yeah. What does that look like for those people you work with?
I think one of the answers I'm going to give is going to sound funny, but I think that we prepare for mistakes. I think we prepare for times that we're going to fall on our face. Even when we're building momentum, we want to be realistic. Sure. We want to be mindful that when we take risks, which you're doing every single time you make a big life transition, you are going to have moments where you feel insecure. You're going to have moments where you doubt yourself. Totally. And so when we have the opportunity as therapists to be there for you, we want to be a source of support for you. We want to be a helpful ear. But we also really want to, I know for me, and I'm sure it is for you, we want to help prepare you that, mistakes can happen, that there can be moments where you don't feel good, but we're still going to help you really look at all the positives you've already made in your life, including even the decision to make this move, whether it was to college, whether it's to graduate school, whether it's taking a new job, whether it's entering a new relationship that feels more healthy for you, whether it's making a trying to move to a new physical location.
Yeah.
Really supporting you with that.
Yeah. So it's a sense of support, validation, understanding, unbiased.
Yeah.
I mean, and really allowing our clients, I think, to empower themselves while we're providing that space.
Absolutely.
And really kind of catapulting them in a way that feels like building them up. Exactly.
Building your strengths, building your resiliency. Absolutely.
Yeah. What does resilience mean to you? Yeah.
So resilience to me, and I've seen a lot of people in my life close to me who are very resilient. Resilience to me is really the ability of how you bounce back from adversity, from really difficult situations. Yeah. And that's the textbook version. What it really looks like in person is you see people in their really good times, you see people really in their really hard times, and you see people fight back, and you see people really keep pushing, and just it's unrelenting. You know, life can be really difficult sometimes. Life always has new challenges for us, but resilience is using all those positives, all those strengths you already have from other situations, other scenarios, and applying it right to those things that you're having trouble with.
Totally. I agree 100%. Yeah. I think one thing we need to talk about with resilience is also this idea of shame. Because I feel like that's another big part, because like people are shameful of not being resilient. Yep. People are shameful of not achieving these transitions, or people are shameful of not achieving these goals. Yep. So what does it look like in your practice in a sense of how that may have played into some of the people's progress? Yep. Shame, and then I would say right along with it too, guilt. Shame and guilt. Hell yeah, man. Bring it up. Shame and guilt, I think they're such powerful emotions, and when someone says they're stuck, which is a common thing for someone to say when they're coming into therapy. I know I've said it to my therapist plenty of times. Me too. It's when we're stuck, when we feel shame, when we feel guilt, really taking the time, and it can take weeks, it can take months, to just really sit with it, to not try to avoid it, but to really sit with what makes you feel shameful. Yep. Whether that's something you feel you did to really hurt someone, whether that's something that you may have done in a job that you wish you could do you wish you could do over. Shame, guilt, they're really powerful. And so I love what you were saying earlier about empowering. Yeah. I think that it's an inexact science, but it's breaking down all the components. It's breaking down, how you grew up. Yeah. And how family systems, how communication in your family may have affected how you learned and experienced shame. 100%. And regarding guilt, are there factors in your life, relationships that you may experience guilt, and what would you say to that too? I mean, I feel like it's such a prevalent, inept thing that we feel because of society. Yeah. And it's in the pressures and in the ways that we feel that we need to act in certain situations. Yeah. And I think having these conversations. I love what you said too. We feel like we have to. Right. I know a big thing that I love to say to people too is people say, I have to, I should. Right. There's nothing you have to do. There's nothing you should do. There's things you want to do, and there's things that you can do. Absolutely. And I think sounds like a DBT skill. I know. Yeah. Hell yeah. And it's so true to that fact of how we're having these conversations and breaking down these stigmas of what that looks like, and providing psychoeducation to the people out here. And that's why we're here, people. That's why we're here. That's why we're having these conversations and these talks. And Steve, this is an incredible conversation. I'm so glad you're here, and I appreciate you being here. Thank you for having me. Absolutely. And before we wrap up, man, let people know how they can get a hold of you. If you have any resources too, please share. Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm at a wonderful place called the Boulder Healing Hub. That's at 1650 38th Street, Suite 100E, Boulder, Colorado, zip 80301. Perfect. So you can also find me on StevenSpatzCounseling.com. Spatz is S-P-A-T-Z. Yeah, Steven with a V. I mean, people would know. People wouldn't know. Yeah. You can also find me on my Facebook, business Facebook, which is linked to this. And you can give me a call at 703-677-2688. You can give me an email at Steven,
And then spatz.lpc@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you, whether it's just you're looking for some support, you're looking for just some advice on how to find a clinician, whether it's me or someone else. I just want to help you find a good fit.
Absolutely.
So,
Spatsy, dude, this has been real. I really appreciate the raw authenticity that we brought to this conversation. Seriously, man, like, I think when we share our stories as therapists, I think it really helps normalize a lot of people's issues, thoughts, feelings, and emotions. So with that being said, peace out. Thanks for tuning in super late. We really appreciate you. We hope you have an enjoyable evening.
Thank you,
Lori Andre, for the thumbs up. Appreciate you. Love you, Mom. Talk to you all soon. Headed Therapist is out. Catch you later. Peace.